Imagine being a parent of a child with special needs, navigating the school system to ensure your child's accommodations are met. Today, we delve into a story of miscommunication and frustration, where a teacher's misunderstanding of a student's special needs leads to a day of unnecessary stress and confusion.
Teacher took my daughter's phone, which she is allowed to have. I had to write this bit to get it off my chest. I hope this is the right place to do this as it is not resolved yet, so waiting might suffice too, otherwise I can remove it. My daughter of 13 is autistic with selective mutism. She can join regular school programs with a few adaptations. One of them is that she can keep her phone with her at all times as she uses it to communicate through writing. If she can use her laptop, she will, but if not, she is allowed to use her cell phone because that is the fastest way for her. There are some conditions to it, like no social media, and only actually using it if the teacher approves it. She has a copy of the form for this with all the conditions in her bag too. They assured us it would all be fine and that her agreed needs would be met. We were very happy with that because she loves it at regular education. She spent a brief time in special education, and she grew very stressed there because everyone is too different. In regular education, she can see the logic in the people, as she puts it. Today they had an internet outage and she had to do some work on paper. Since her laptop wasn't used in class, she had her cell phone on her desk as per the agreement. This led to the teacher taking it due to the school's no phones policy. My daughter tried writing it out that in stressful events, like her phone being taken, she can't speak, so she is allowed to have her phone with her to communicate. In her opinion, she was not using it. She had it on the table because her bag had to be in the classroom shelves and her clothes had no pockets, which is stated in the agreement to be fine. The teacher didn't believe it and said that he would check it in the student monitoring system once the internet started working again. Until he could check it, he would hold her phone in his desk. She could pick it up once the internet started working and he could check it, or when she went home. She made a last attempt to write and sign. She learned sign language due to her mutism, to ask if she could grab her bag to show the form, but the teacher wasn't willing to budge. She let me know that he seemingly told her that if she wants to sign, she should go to a school for the deaf. Her solution to turn on her phone's Wi-Fi so he could access the internet and check also gained her some comments saying she should stop trying to know better. Throughout the day, he never wanted to take the time to look at the form. She still had classes and there still was no internet, so he wasn't handing anything back. She couldn't go home, however, because my husband would pick her up after he got a message saying she had all of her classes for the day. The story is what my daughter and hubby told me. I have yet to hear the school's side, but I had to write it down because my mind is overloading with emotions. I really understand that schools have rules, and misunderstandings over rules can occur. As this so far shows, at the root of any misunderstanding is a miscommunication. The mother in me is still very angry and a bit regretful, despite me also understanding that this is just that, a miscommunication that is caused by a larger chain of unlucky events. A similar event happened a few years back at her primary school. She was able to gather the courage to go back to class the next day because one of her two favorite teachers there helped her. Today she signed "I hate school," while she usually spends extra hours at school because she loved it so much.
Now picture yourself as an average-looking guy, encountering a strikingly attractive woman who seems unusually interested in your life. What if this seemingly innocent flirtation leads to a realization that there's more to the story than meets the eye? This narrative explores the unsettling experience of feeling like a target for ulterior motives and how self-awareness and intuition can sometimes protect us from potential traps.
I'm an average-looking guy and I'm 99% sure I dodged a bullet for knowing that. Edit. Let me clarify that this post is more about strangers and less about people you know. Sometimes, conventionally attractive women talk to average-looking men just because they want to talk for fun, because they want to be friends, because they're curious, because they think the guy's funny, or even because they're interested romantically. Some of the comments here say that's impossible, and you guys need to stop thinking that. If you already know each other through friends, through school, through sports, whatever, that's different. But between strangers in public, it's impossible. Hot girls will not flirt with random average-looking strangers unless they have some ulterior motive. A few years back, a really hot girl approached me at a breakfast place that I went to every morning. I'm an average-looking guy, and hot girls don't randomly come talk to me very often just for fun. When that happens, it's usually because the girl wants me to sign up for some Bible study or go to her church event. Someone else might call that a lack of self-confidence. I call it self-awareness. When she started flirting and calling me cute, that was a red flag. She was really interested in my background, especially in my job and my personal life. It seemed like she was trying to get specific details about my life. I eventually made a polite excuse and left, but the whole thing left me feeling uneasy. It's one of those things where you have no idea what just happened, but you know it was weird. Fast forward to 2 years later, I was at my cousin's wedding. I saw that same girl from the breakfast place. She was introduced as my cousin's childhood friend. At the wedding, we shook hands and just looked at each other uncomfortably like, "Oh yeah, I remember you." That was basically it. At the wedding, I asked around about her and heard gossip that she is supposedly under some kind of fraud investigation. I have no idea how they would know that, but it's not too hard to believe. I also know that cousin has been in trouble with the law many times over the course of her life. If they're best friends, I feel like that says something. I still have no idea what that girl wanted, but I know it wasn't a coincidence. I think we've all heard stories of men being lured by hot girls with ulterior motives. I think the word for that is honey trap. I've never seen it happen myself, but it's a tale as old as mankind. It is really important that we learn to be self-aware, even if that means recognizing things that you don't absolutely love. I'm never going to back down from this. Hot girls are not going to flirt with me randomly unless they have some ulterior motive. That's because I'm an average-looking guy. Also, I guess this is a scenario in which looking average has an advantage over being handsome. If I were Matt Damon or Denzel Washington, I couldn't say the same thing.
Finally, consider the emotional journey of a mother grappling with feelings of inadequacy and jealousy after leaving her ex-partner, only to see him thrive with someone new. In this story, a woman reflects on her past decisions and the impact they've had on her self-esteem as she witnesses her ex's new life, which starkly contrasts with her own struggles. Despite her best efforts to stay positive and supportive for the sake of her child, the feelings of comparison and regret are hard to ignore. I left my ex for better, and he is the one with a better life. So I, a 31-year-old woman, met my ex, a 28-year-old man, while we were at a party around 5 years ago. We weren't good for each other. We were both addicts. He was a drug addict and I was an alcoholic. We just fed into each other's addictions. We would cheat on each other, drink, party, and do drugs. About 2 years into our relationship, I got pregnant. He understandably asked for a paternity test, and the baby was his. 9 months later, we had our baby girl. Understandably, due to the stress of being a new dad, he drank a lot and did drugs. So regrettably, I left to be with another man I met online. This was a wake-up call for my ex, and he decided to get sober. Ever since then, we've managed to make a great, perfect co-parenting schedule. I know it may not work for everyone, but it really works for us. He is an amazing guy and somehow an even better father. It was perfect for around 3 years. Unfortunately, my relationship fell apart. I won't go into detail because honestly, it's still very traumatic and it wasn't a good environment for my daughter to be around. So I called it quits.
During this time, he met his now wife, Romy, a 23-year-old, while she was working her way through college as a hostess at his restaurant.
Please don't comment on their age difference because yes, I do feel insecure and jealous of how young she is, but I don't want to hear people shame my ex or even shame her. My ex and I also have an age difference and it'd be hypocritical of me to judge him. When I first met her, she was so kind and lovely. During that dinner, I hate myself for this, but I kept looking for one flaw on her. She was pretty, kind, and so mature and successful for her age. She makes twice the amount my ex and I make combined. I don't stand a leg against her. She is model pretty, and I'm not even exaggerating. My ex and I work at the same restaurant. I remember how the other guys at the place would try to flirt with her, try to ask her out. It wasn't even just the employees, it was everyone who lays their eyes on her. She has a perfect body, but she is honestly very modest. Before my ex, she didn't so much as hold hands with another guy. She was saving herself for marriage. Even our daughter likes Romy more than me. I don't blame her either. Of course, I would never ask her that because I just find that toxic. And I'm glad my ex found someone who is sweet and a good mother. Yes, I am aware that she is a stepmother, but she deserves the title of mother. She is amazing. She is perfect, and I couldn't be happier for my daughter and my ex.
It's my own fault because I left him while he was at his lowest for my own selfish needs, and now he's doing so much better. Thank you for reading this far. I'm already on a waiting list for a therapist and I'm going to AA meetings after work. So in the meantime, please give any kinds of advice.